Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by the one, the only Chase Pisonneault. How's it going?
Not bad yourself.
Doing pretty good. Um, good year for you. A lot of big successes this year. In your first kind of really big year into this late model stuff. What just to remind everybody, I know it's been a while since you've been on, but what did you do this year?
I kind of did a lot of stuff, a lot of pro stuff. Started this year at Cordeal Speed Fest, then ran the Baby Rattler in the pro car. Did a little bit of Cars Tour stuff before coming back to Michigan, firing off for the Jag Series in Berlin. Did really well all year in the Jag Series. Had a little bit of a bumpy start, but got a little bit cleaned up there. Ended up with a lot of top fives, coming away with Rookie of the Year. Did the Alan Turner stuff and rounded out my year with Snowflake 100 start. Ended up 19th in the Snowflake 100, battling a ton of attrition. We had a lot of stuff come our way, but my crew did a really good job patching us up.
What was it like, working with your team, with Carson Hocevar's guys and all that stuff, and how was it in your kind of your first big taste of everything?
It was really cool. I feel like I learned a lot with those guys. They do a really good job at bringing me good race cars and reliable race cars every week. One mechanical failure out of 30 races is pretty good, and it's not anything that they could have found. So, very, very happy to have worked with that group of guys. Zach is an amazing crew chief. All the guys I work with, Bob, Kevin, Jimmy, Amanda. I'm sure we got guys that help us that show up for every once in a while, not every weekend, but all those guys do a really good job. It was a lot of fun, and I feel like I learned a lot every time Carson could come to the racetrack too. Picked up as much as I could from him, and it was really fun to work with them.
What were some of the tracks that, it's like, man, what it was, what were some of the places that were like, man, I can't believe I ran this place, or was it, or you may have had like an eye-opening experience at?
I feel like for sure the first time I ever got on Five Flags Speedway. Five Flags is probably the most historical place I've ever raced at. Them Five Flags and Winchester both. Really, really cool to race at Five Flags. It's a place I've dreamed of racing for a really long time. Definitely a bucket list check. Winchester, running that place for the first time is absolutely amazing. It is faster than fast and a really unbelievable feeling as a driver. And then a couple that like I never would have guessed, like Cordeal, my first race. Never really knew it till I showed up there, but it's a really cool place to race, and I was blessed to be able to race at all those tracks.
Yeah. Best performance you think that you've had this season?
Pretty much everything at Owasso, I feel like Masters of the Pros kind of stunted us a little bit. I feel like we fired off and we're running top five at Masters of the Pros, and we weren't very good. We were hoping to get some changes. We were really, really loose coming to the pit cycle. So if we could have changed, I feel like we would have been good. But then at lap 40, we lost our power steering and just kind of tumbled from there. Fired off the first time at Owasso, set a track record in practice, top of the board both sessions, go out in qualifying, official track record, pole, go out, win the race, lead over half the race, super dominant performance. And then you come back, we led a significant amount of laps. They're super fast. If it wasn't for a little bit of spinning tires and restarts, probably would have came away with the win at the last race there at Owasso. So everywhere at Owasso, I feel like has been our most dominant performances.
So, what do you just love about, going to Owasso? I know that you're gonna be there a lot next year. What's that gonna what just suits you about that place?
I'm not really sure. I feel like the second I ever went through the gate at Owasso Speedway, the whole thing just made sense to me. There's some tracks as drivers, I mean, a lot of drivers can attest to it, that just never really fully grasp it and you're never really fully comfortable there. I walk through the gate at Owasso and it's my confidence place. Like I go out there and I know the second I put the helmet on, my objective when I go out for practice isn't to figure out the racetrack, it's to go out there and put a heater down. So it's really cool. I've just got a lot of laps there, more laps than I've got anywhere else. And I feel like because I've got the experience and I know the layout of that place, I just know how to get around there pretty good.
Yeah. So this year, just traveling all over traveling all over the US, because, I'm from being from Canada, going to these places for the first time. What was that like, just being on the road almost every week?
It was super fun. And I mean, like being able to travel to, Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, like being at so many different states, you kind of realize that each state's a little bit different in its own way. Like Michigan and Ohio is pretty similar, but when you go to Winchester, Indiana, it's a completely different feeling. Super homegrown, like makes you want to put on some country music. And then you go up to Georgia and there's a little bit more heat behind everything. And just cool being able to see all the different demographic all the way across America. I had a blast. Winchester, Indiana was probably my favorite. I don't think I frowned a second there. I think start to finish, my whole weekend was just cool with all the history and stuff. So cool to see pretty cool places.
Probably your favorite event this year was probably going to that Zach Bryan concert. Don't get me wrong.
Hey, it
Um,
was super fun, but nothing beats the Winchester 400.
no, nothing does. So now with this year kind of, having a few weeks off. What has it been like not racing?
Good and bad, I'd say. Not racing, you get a lot of time for other stuff. I can hang out with family and friends a lot more, which I can't really do in the summer, which is weird for me because, a kid that used to be in high school used to be able to go hang out on summer break with all of his friends. However, not being at the racetrack does kind of suck because that's what I'm used to. That's my thing. I enjoy it. Just a different feeling. Not a better or worse one, just different.
Well, it's I mean, the good news is you don't have to wait for long, because you're going to be pretty busy in 2025. What are your plans going to be?
Yeah, we're gonna go run ASA Stars National Tour full time, Blizzard Series down in Florida full time, Pensacola. Look forward to running a few JEGS events too. Getting back to Owasso Speedway, of course. Love that place. Rex runs an amazing facility. And just hitting as many big events as we can after that. Really, really excited for this year. I feel like we got a lot of good things coming, and I feel like my team's well prepared for it.
Yeah, and going from mostly running a pro late this year to mostly now running a super late, what's that going to be like?
I think it'll be similar. The ways late models are, everything's pretty much the same aside from the motor package. They drive a lot different, but I feel like Zach has more experience in a super, and I think it'll be even better for our team. I love a super. I feel like having more power gives me more control as a driver, and the whole thing's just going to make me better overall going into the future.
Biggest thing you learned this year?
Ooh, that's a good question. How to qualify was a big one. When we fired off, I was super hot and cold with qualifying. It took me to the last race till Derby weekend to really finally understand what it takes to qualify a pro car, but I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of that. And race control, I feel like I learned a lot about racecraft this year, just how to get around cars in tight quarters, like Owasso Speedway, Anderson, super tough place to pass. Winchester, a place you got to pass on the outside. All learning experiences for me. So I feel like all around I learned, but specifically in qualifying and just passing.
Yeah. Biggest thing that you're mostly looking forward to in 2025?
Hmm. Uh, I'm really looking forward for the Blizzard series. Supers at Five Flags has been something that I've always kind of looked up to. It's been so far out. I remember I used to say 2 or 3 years back that if I ever could have a ride at the Snowball Derby, like all it would take is one start and I'd be satisfied with my racing career. It's just been a bucket list thing for me. Just always wanted to run there in a super, so I'm really excited for that.
Yep. Okay, so all right. Well, Chase, thank you so much for the time as always, and best of luck in 2025. And we'll obviously talk to you before the season starts. And have a good few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.